Hi everyone, and thank you very much for joining. We're talking about a very interesting topic today, and we want to go through it using a practical example. The topic is integrated reporting, and the case is Clariant. So maybe just a few words upfront on who we are and what we want to show you. Joanna will provide valuable insights into integrated reporting at Clariant. She's Manager Corporate Communications at Clariant and Project Manager for the Integrated Report.
Yep. Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much, Joanna, for taking your time. I'm agency head here at nexxar, and I'm Project Manager for the Clariant report on nexxar side since 5 years. I will start by giving you a brief introduction into our perspective on digital integrated reporting and a few potentials from an online point of view. Then Joanna will introduce Clariant and give you an overview on the development of integrated reporting at Clariant. So where they come from, where they are today, and where they are heading. In total, we will need about 30 minutes, and at the end, we will have around 15 minutes for a Q&A session. So please don't forget to write us questions via chat at any time. Our moderators will try to cluster these questions, and we're happy to discuss as many of them as possible in the end. So let's start right to it. With integrated reporting, the online report is gaining more importance as a publication channel. So digital formats do provide solutions to important communication problems of today's integrated reports. They offer technical possibilities to ease, to bypass or overcome these problems. We think online reports can offer solutions to 4 major communication problems of today's integrated reports. Digital reports can offer technical solutions to reduce the enormous complexity of integrated reports. We have heard about this already today. So, for example, you can provide alternative and non-linear ways to use your report. You can make use of filters to customize the user experience and provide a powerful search function. Another key advantage is the connectivity of content. So you can cross-link content and offer further related information. Integrated reports aim to connect financial and non-financial information. So that's a perfect fit for digital reports. Then integrated reports address a large number on the broad variety of stakeholders. So digital reports can help you to reach your audience on desktop, on tablet, on mobile. And last but not least, digital reports should add value. So here we're talking about all technical and design-driven possibilities to improve the communication quality in digital integrated reports. For example, with interactive infographics, with videos, or by implementing digital tools like surveys and usability research, so you can start to learn about how the report is actually used. As said, integrated reports contain a lot of different information and topics, but how can a user actually find the information they are looking for as quick and easy as possible? Digital reports do provide solutions to this question. So one example can be found in the integrated report of the Munich airport. The companies introduced an additional information navigation, which is based on 6 defined capitals. So here you can see the tags of infrastructure and environment, but you can also navigate these tags along the menu. So in the menu, you have the normal menu structure, and alternatively to it, you can navigate via the capitals. So finances, infrastructure, expertise, employees, etc. This is one way to do it. It doesn't have to be the capitals. You could also use other topics to filter or cluster your report. Yeah? So You probably have seen this today in the Adidas session. You can also use tags like innovation or results or strategy. I want to show you another example on a company who's doing that, and that's Shell in their sustainability report. And here on the landing page, they also provide a possibility to filter. You can access different topics via a wheel, for example, safety or environment, and you will see that there are navigational possibilities where these topics are tackled. Alternatively to it, you can also use the SDGs that they defined as the most important for them. Yeah. But it's also about connecting content. So, and integrated reports again contain financial and non-financial information and are normally based on different reporting standards like SDGs, like GRI, etc. And online reports can use this information, make the standards visible, and connect the content that belongs together. So you can find one example for this in the Scheffler Sustainability Report. At the very end, at the very bottom of the page, they provide tags as references to the GRI index and also to the UN Global Compact, etc. All these tags are linked to the respective tables and standards, and when you hover on it, you can see the description of this tag. But that's not the only thing. You can also, it's also important for integrated reporting that you explain your business model. And usually this is done by a simple or sometimes quite complex infographic. I want to show you an example on a solution that we have done for Solvay. This shows their value creation model. There are a lot of contents in there. That's why we came up with a relatively simple slider solution, because the contents are quite diverse, and we tried to show input, to show their vision, strategy, operating model, to show the different businesses, and also to show the value they create in the respective areas. You can imagine the content that you see here, that's quite a lot to put into one graphic, and in the PDF it actually stretches over 2 pages. There are also other examples for business model, and one of them is the integrated report of Munich Airport. We've seen another example of them today already. Here you can see a quite elaborate interactive business model. So you can switch between different subject areas, between the different type of capital. You can also switch between the subject areas of these capitals. And you can access or get more information on the business areas they are working in, and you can also get information on the impact they have. And the last example I want to show you is a quite different approach that I just stumbled upon last week. It's the business model of United Utilities, and they don't provide a classical horizontal business model, but they came up with a vertical online design, and they also offer some links for further information. As you can see, it's a quite massive graphic too. In the PDF, it actually stretches over 3 pages even. Yeah. So, but basically, from my side, for now, that's it. And I'm happy to hand over to Joana.
Yeah, thank you, Martin, for your introduction. I want to begin with a few general words about Clariant, because I'm pretty sure that for some of you, it's the first time you hear about this company. So Clariant is a Swiss specialty chemicals company, and we focus on 3 business areas that are care chemicals, natural resources, and catalysis. So this means that we create actually products and services for customers across a very broad range of industry, including, for example, automotive, electronics, packaging, and cosmetics. So at the end of 2019, we had an EBITDA margin of 15.7%. We had around 17,000 employees and about 118 production sites worldwide. Our sales amounted to almost 4.4 million Swiss francs in 2019. So that's it for the company introduction, and I will now present you with a rough outline on the developments regarding integrated reporting at Clariant. And I will pick out some highlights for each year since 2016. So for this, I will first explain where we come from and how it all began. So on this slide, you can see an overview of the online reports that Clariant has published in the last few years. At this point, and maybe before we take a closer look at the individual reports, I need to say that the annual report has always been a very important publication for Clariant. So our executive committee and especially our former CEO, who is now chairman of the board of directors, always attached a great importance to the report and still sees it as the company's flagship communication measure. So that being said, I will now give you some insights into our first integrated report. In 2015-16, there were first considerations to develop the former annual report into an integrated report. So what we did is that we decided to bring in a consulting agency and to do a gap analysis first. Just to see which requirements we already met, where we would need more input and what steps could be taken next. The initial plan resulting from this was then to do a dry run in 2016 and basically come up with 2 reports for this business year. So first, our usual annual but not integrated report for publication, and then second, an integrated report just for internal use, so to say, an internal trial version. But then things turned out a little differently, and after we delivered the first prototype of our integrated report, it was actually so well received that it was decided to continue with the prototype and just publish Clariant's first ever integrated report. And I have to say that this was definitely a tough exercise, but we still managed to finish the report on time. However, I have to say from today's perspective, we really like to call this report a first step and by no means a perfect or already complete integrated report. So to get the whole integrated report process going, we just started with collecting available key figures that corresponded to the 6 capitals defined by the IIRC, the International Integrated Reporting Council. In the next step, we then came up with a business model that was built on 3 value creation phases, which are idea to market, market to customer, and customer to cash. And then with the help of nexxar, we designed an interactive business model that showed the various capitals or inputs and outputs as comprehensively as possible. So as you can see here, we decided to cluster the 6 capitals according to the areas that Clariant has an influence on, which are performance, people, and planet. And to each of these capitals, we assign certain KPIs that illustrate the corresponding input and output. And I already mentioned that the business model revolves around our 3 value creation phases, which you can see in the middle. Yeah, so we learned a lot from this 2016 process. And in the following year, we then tried to address the weaknesses of our first integrated report. We expanded our scope of reporting, and we included more KPIs and figures for all capitals. So under the motto "All in One," we decided to avoid duplication and to no longer publish a separate sustainability report. So this means that we actually incorporated all relevant sustainability information into our integrated report. In addition to that, we also built an online GRI report entirely in line with the GRI guidelines. Plus, we also decided to make mandatory parts such as financial, corporate governance and compensation report available online only. One of the highlights in this year was definitely our reworked materiality matrix. So we carried out a new materiality assessment, and we identified the topics that were most relevant to Clariant and its stakeholders. Plus, we made the most important topics, which you can see in the top right corner, the central element of our case studies and stories. This means that we covered every topic by one story each. So this made 7 stories in total. The same year, we also introduced our first stakeholder survey, and I think you also saw this at Adidas. So this means that we placed a little survey on the reporting pages and asked people who they were, or better to say, which target group they felt to belong to. And I must say that this stakeholder survey helped us a lot with not only understanding who is visiting our report, but also with justifying the efforts that we put in our report, because other people could finally see that we are actually reaching the people that we want to reach with our report. In 2018, we then mainly focused on the improvement of what was already available, and we expanded the concept of our value creation phases and introduced so-called focus routes. It's basically a filtering system that allows the reader to explore the report along a certain topic. And to simplify the navigation, the content of each focus route is highlighted with a specific color, an icon and a vertical line. So if you are, for example, interested in everything related to the topic of innovation, you could then choose the idea to market path and then just jump from one content piece to the next that is related to this topic. In 2018, we also started to pay even more attention to the usability of the report, and we built a heat map on the start page in order to get an insight how this page was actually used, and also how the navigation on top was used. Okay, so after this journey to the past and the last few years, I will now show you where we are today and give you a few insights into our last, the 2019 report. So for this report, we really focused on taking the findings from last year's heat map and stakeholder survey into consideration. We tried to improve several things according to the feedback we got via these tools. For example, we updated the menu bar and incorporated the GRI report here because we just found that people or that the previous location of the GRI link was a little confusing for the users. Regarding the content of our report, we also slightly changed our approach. For the first time, we did not only link our stories to the most material topics, but also decided to connect them to Clariant's priority sustainable development goals. This decision was based on the feedback we got from different external organizations that are actually rating our sustainability activities. So as you can see, we decided to show an overview of all SDGs and highlighted Clariant's priority SDGs in their respective color. Clicking on the colored SDGs will then allow you to see and go to the examples that show how Clariant is actually contributing to these SDGs. So for example, I think, it's SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. This will show you all stories related to this topic. So as I already said, in this year, we really focused on analyzing the previous user behavior. We were able to see what works and what doesn't. And we adapted some of the elements where we could see that it simply wasn't as clear as we thought it was. So for example, the interactive slider on the start page that you can see on this slide has been revised and is now a lot easier to understand. Also, to avoid confusion with other elements, we unified all link designs. And in addition to that, we also applied bigger clickable areas on teasers. This also made it easier for the user to navigate. So with this slide, I want to show you the results from our 2019 stakeholder survey. As I already mentioned, these results are very important for us because they do not only help us with understanding who's actually visiting the report, but they also help us with justifying potential changes, for example. So as you can see, following Clariant's own employees, analysts are actually the second largest user group. And these are followed by, for example, retail shareholders, customers, students, and institutional investors. So summing these different groups up, you could basically say that there are two main clusters. 1/3 of all users are employees and potential employees, and another third are analysts and investors. In general, the interest in Clariant's online report is increasing. So the number of hits has developed very positively over the past few years. The number of people who visited Clariant's online report during the first few weeks after publication increased the 4th year in a row. And with our 2019 report, we also put more effort in push communication, and we published reporting contents via our intranet and social media channels. And on a very regular basis, actually. So this regular promotion in general kept up the unique page views. Plus, we could see that the number of views visibly increased after the promotion on social media. So this means that, in the week after the promotion, the views doubled, and in some cases, were even 4 times higher than before the promotion. So you could see that the last 2 years were characterized by only minor changes and focusing on the improvements of what was already there. For our 2020 report, we are now planning some major changes again. And of course, I cannot share too much yet, but I can already give you a little sneak peek into Clariant's next integrated report. So for our business model, we plan a new interactive approach that uses the full potential of the online format and also helps us to better explain value creation inputs and outputs. The SDGs will be the one and only guideline for our case studies and stories. Plus, all stories will be online only. This means that neither the printed report nor the PDF will contain these stories anymore. And yeah, we have decided to do this because we want to focus even more on the reusability and scalability of these reporting contents and use them in other online company channels. So in the last step, I now want to quickly sum up this presentation and the overall goals that guided our process over the past years and will also guide our process during the next years. So from one year to the next, we always try to reduce the complexity of our integrated report, and we will continue to do this by providing alternative ways of exploring it. We will put even more focus on connecting the contents wherever it makes sense. And we want to reach even more users, both via internal and external channels. Plus, of course, we also want to have more insights into the behavior of these users. And in general, and especially starting with our next report, we really want to shift our focus even more towards digital reporting.
Well, thank you very much, Joanna, for these great insights. Basically, I hope you all have a good first impression on the case of the Clariant, on the effort and the amount of attention that and work that Clariant puts into this project. I do see that we already received some questions. I think some of them do address similar topics, and our moderators tried to cluster those questions. So I just see the exemplary ones. Let's have a look at the first question by Bernd. This business model presentation looks great. Concerning a business model presentation such as in the Munich airport, can the user explore connectivities of inputs and outputs not only within one kind of capital, but for example, linking HR inputs and financial outputs? So I'm not 100% sure if I get this question right, but I will try. So basically, yes. So it's not a static version. So it's not that you financial input and financial output, or HR input and HR outputs. You can also choose financial input and get HR output. So I think this was an important tweak here, that it's not a static connection between input and output.
Yeah, and I think you also have to mention that there are definitely interdependencies between the different capitals. So it's not just like one capital is having influence on another, but it's also like there are certain links between the capitals. And I think there are some examples which show this quite good. I think there's one from BASF. Yeah. So that's definitely something you could show online.
Yeah, I hope this tackles the question. The second question by Joachim is: integrated reporting makes particular sense for companies that manage financial and non-financial opportunities and risks in an integrated manner, usually via joint controlling. Is this the case at Clariant?
That's a very good question. So it's definitely that we are like on the way. This is our goal. But I have to say that with this integrated reporting topic, there comes this integrated management topic. And yeah, there we definitely have to still improve some things. But yeah, we are already trying to tackle this.
Great. Next question by Thomas. How long did you prepare the change from separated to integrated reporting?
Yeah, so as I just said, it was not planned to be our first integrated report in 2016. And we plan to publish our usual annual report and have a separate integrated report just for our internal use. So basically, this was the same time period we normally use for our annual report. So usually we start sometime in summer, and then we have to publish it sometime in March. So this was the same timeline for our first integrated report.
And we have an anonymous question. So how many people at Clariant IR team are involved in the integrated reporting process?
Yeah, I mean, for Clariant, for the company, it's me, I'm the project lead, and then we have like different work streams. So for example, one person is responsible for storytelling, then we have one person being responsible for the print version. So it's from December to March, I think it's 2 to 3 people. And then, of course, we have support from different agencies.
And yeah, we're happy to be one of them. Another question is, are the publication dates of the GRI report and the online report equal?
Yeah, we published them on the same date. But I have to say, I think for the first year, or was it the second, Martin? I'm not sure. I think there we published the GRI a little bit later than the integrated report, right?
Yeah, so the first year there was just the GRI report. It was published a little bit later. So when you switched from sustainability reporting to GRI reporting, it was a little bit later.
Yeah, but the aim is to publish both of them at the same date.
Then another question. What kind of feedback did you receive from stakeholders when you moved from a standard annual report to an integrated one? Do you feel it was worthwhile change, and why?
So we got in general very positive feedback, especially because we were the first listed company in Switzerland who published an integrated report. And yeah, there were of course also some more critical voices who said that maybe the first report that we called an integrated report wasn't a real integrated report. But in general, feedback is very positive, and I think what's very important is that we also incorporated the sustainability information, like the complete sustainability information into our integrated report, because I think this was something that the stakeholders couldn't understand, or at least some couldn't understand in the beginning, why we would go for an integrated report and then still publish a separate sustainability report. And if it feels, or if it was worthwhile, definitely. So we got a lot of positive recognition. We got a lot of awards, and yeah, we also have regular updates or regular exchanges with other peers who are actually asking us how we did it and how they could start doing an integrated report.
Mm-hmm. Laura is asking, what were your biggest challenges in going from 2 separate reports to integrated reports? What are the lessons you have learned?
So yeah, as I said, in first year we still published a separate sustainability report, and then actually for the second year, so for 2017, it wasn't that complicated anymore, to be honest, because we already knew what KPIs we covered and what could be more KPIs that need to be incorporated in the integrated report. And yeah, to be honest, I mean, it's an ongoing process. So we are still looking for more or other KPIs and other information. We are always restructuring some of the parts of the report. So it's not like we are at the end of this process. So yeah, I guess that's it for this answer.
I guess the next question is also very quick to answer. Do you still have a PDF to go along?
Yes, we have. And we are actually planning to make this, I think it's the same as Adidas said this morning. We are planning to make the PDF a little bit easier and less focused on design. Yeah.
Thomas is asking, you have 30,000 visitors online. How many print copies do you produce in comparison?
So last year, I guess we had around 3,000 English hard copies and around 2,000 German hard copies.
Natalie is asking, are the target groups that you reach with your digital reports the target groups you want to reach?
Yep. So for us, they are definitely the target groups we want to reach. I mean, there are definitely some groups that could be a little bit bigger, or there could be more people using our integrated report from certain target groups. But still, I think for us, these are the target groups that we want to reach, yes.
Mm-hmm. Another question by Natalie. Have you or are you adapting the tone of voice in the report according to your target groups? Do you see a difficulty finding the right balance when creating content for all these target groups?
So, I mean, we have, in general, we distinguish between reporting content, so which is full of information, full of figures, and the usual reporting content. And then on the other side, we have our storytelling parts. So I think this is definitely something where we distinguish between target groups, but it's not like that we would adjust our tone of voice to a certain target group. Yeah, no, I couldn't say that.
Jennifer is asking, why are employees so interested in your integrated report? I can give a general answer to that, but maybe you have a more...
no, you can go ahead with your general answer, and then I will just add my thoughts to it.
Okay, basically these microsurveys that we do for Clariant, we also do for some other clients. And if you compare these microsurveys, the overall picture is pretty much the same. So this 1/3 of employees or potential employees, students, etc. This 1/3 is roughly the same for all the clients where we have this microsurvey. So this is not a specialty just for Clariant, but it also applies for other clients of us.
Yeah, and I think for Clariant, it's also because I think we have we are a very diverse company. So we have a lot of different business areas and business units. And so I think people are just interested to see what other parts of the company are actually doing. So yeah, they like to read stories about other business units or about the people that are working in other business units. And then I think another thing is that our integrated report or annual reports in general serve as kind of the company Bible. So people are just coming back to it again and again, and looking for relevant information they might need.
Mm-hmm. A question concerning on the consolidated financial statement and the management report. Are the figures and tables of the management report consolidated financial statements and those automatically imported into the online report?
I'm not quite sure if I get this automatically imported.
Yeah, so I guess I can answer that. It's a semi-automatical process. This is where we come in. This is our responsibility to bring these the figures and tables of the management report, etc., into the report. Another question by Natalie. You mentioned that a resource is working with storytelling around the world. Can you please share how you're working with this?
So we have one person being responsible for all stories that are published in the integrated report. So how we usually start is that we have an editorial workshop sometime in summer, and then we just see what stories of this year could be interesting for the integrated report. And then in the next step, we would reach out to the content owners of the stories to the different business units and business areas, and just ask them if this would be something they want to publish. And this is the usual process how we start working with the stories.
Then we have a question on the GRI report. Publishing a separate GRI report, isn't that contradictional to the idea behind an integrated report having all the necessary information on one report?
That's a very good question, and we thought about this as well, but we still see that some of the people who are rating our company and sustainability experts are especially looking for GRI report and the information that is provided in the GRI report. And some of the information that we provide in the GRI is also in the integrated report, and some further information then only available in the GRI. So what we usually do is that we link between both of the reports. So if you read a certain chapter in the integrated report and would like to have more info on this special topic, then you could go to the GRI, where it's basically just figures and very very focused information. And that's how we think that's the best way for us to do it.
And I guess if you look at the online report right now, there you have a full reporting suite. So you have the integrated report, you have the compensation report, the financial report, and the GRI report, and it's all basically in one publication. So the online report is providing all these publications under one roof. Judith is asking, how did the size of the report change?
I think it changed a little bit, but it didn't change that much, especially, I mean, there is more content available, but for example, for the printed report, we then just decided to put the information that we like financial report and corporate and compensation report, we decided to publish them online only, to have less a smaller printed version available. To be honest, I can't give a number of pages or something. I don't know.
Andy is asking, how popular is the storytelling content with readers? Which target groups tend to spend more time reading the storytelling content?
Yeah, so Martin, maybe you can say something here, but we don't distinguish, we can't see who is visiting especially the storytelling pages. I mean, we could, if we would also do a separate survey on these pages, but so far we don't.
Yeah. So we're using a micro survey to get a big amount of answers, and the more questions you ask, the less answers you get. So we try to be very generic and very simple in the questions that we ask in the micro survey. So that's why we don't do it for each single page. That's why we also can't say exactly which target group is visiting the storytelling pages. What we do see is we have heat maps for the storytelling pages, so we do see actually how far do readers go. So we do see the readers actually really often read till the end, or at least until the middle, or having a certain overview. So it's not just entering the page and dropping out immediately. So that's what we actually do see. And the storytelling pages are often scalable content that also is used by social media. So this is often a way to enter the report for people coming from social media. So last question is Diana is asking, how many hard copies did you produce 5 years ago?
I'm not sure, but it was definitely more than last year. And I think over the 10 years, we reduced the number to a quarter. So, and it's, sorry, and it's going to be again less for next year, but I have not the concrete number in mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, but anyhow, thank you very much, and Joanna, and I thank you for listening. I hope you had some interesting takeaways of this session, and we just got you started on the topic of integrated reporting. I also hope that we actually have won you as some new readers for the next online report, so keep tuned. And the next session will actually shed light on integrated reporting from a more scientific point of view, and the session will start in about 10 minutes. Thank you very much. That's it from us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.